First of all, I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. If you do not know me, my name's Elizabeth Calzadilla. I've been in the roofing industry since 2015, working with contractors. I've had the privilege to help many contractors with different areas of their business. And throughout my career, I have just become very passionate about the industry as a whole. And what made me start Business 411 is when I was learning the roofing industry, it seemed so difficult just to get access to some of the most basic education out there. So in 2015, the way that I was actually learning, I had to go to manufacturers, suppliers. I had to go to literally dozens of roofing events a year just to get basic info. And there was not a source that I could just pick up and say, well, this is the basic stuff that I need to know about roofing that would have helped me learn the industry a lot faster. I was privileged enough to have a lot of contractors and a lot of my clients who actually helped coach me and teach me the industry as well. So I had a lot of different experience when learning, but throughout my journey, what I learned is there's a huge gap in our industry and just accessibility to basic info. So there's a lot of people who do have great knowledge and know this industry well and know how to master their roles, but they didn't have things documented. It seemed like some of the most intelligent people in the industry just had everything in their head and not even a way to share it directly with their team. And even when I went to go work with some large companies and help them implement software and working with their teams, I learned that they didn't have formal training programs or even SOPs. So I started to see this gap in the industry in many different ways. So throughout the last 4 years now, I've been working here at Business 411 on helping solve those issues. Not only have I been helping other contractors with their business, in the very first year of starting Business 411, we did over $1 million in revenue. Since then, we have two multi-million-dollar companies. In the second year, we grew from I grew the company from 0 to 35 employees in the matter of 2 years. So the same way that we're talking to you guys about scaling your company, those are the same challenges that I've had to implement into my business. So I'm not just coming at it from this is what I think from the industry. I'm also coming at it from a business owner standpoint and sharing with you the challenges, the solutions that I've seen work and how I've been able to overcome them as well. If you replace the word roofing and you just put business, a lot of this content applies to 9 out of 10 companies out there. There are some nuances. Obviously, there are different markets. There are different business models from retail to insurance only. So we're seeing a lot of different things out there, but what we're going to give you is a general idea of what I've seen work. Again, there is no secret formula out there. It's a lot of times just making sure that whatever you're trying to accomplish in your business is being communicated to your team and all of your core processes are in place and clearly spelled out. So the biggest thing that I've learned as a business owner and working with business owners is that you cannot expect what you don't inspect. So you cannot expect your employees to do something if you're not inspecting it and giving them the training and holding them accountable to reach those milestones. Alrighty, so first of all, this is the agenda for today. We're going to go through some of the objectives and how this is going to work. Second, we're going to talk about how to lay a good company foundation. So your why, the market research, and company structure. So company foundations, a lot of times we're trying to get our business going and we don't have time to really think things through. So this is the way that we're going to be able to get that done for you guys, is to make sure you have a good foundation to build off of. And we're going to go through some of the case scenarios on what you need to know about your target market, whether you're an existing business or even if you're expanding outside of your service area. The next point is the roofing process pain points. What are some of the biggest bottlenecks that we see when a great company is trying to scale and how we can help you troubleshoot that? So the first thing is customer service. For myself, doing over 500 projects the first year, I had to really learn and continue to learn how to improve customer service continuously. And this is something that we help our contractors focus on as well. Next, we're going to talk about the pre-build process, the sales process and the pre-build process, the build process and quality control. So there's quite a bit of processes involved. A lot of times even when I first started designing processes, I would just map out things from A to Z and just say, this is the overall company process. But what I've truly learned is that there's a lot of mini processes within your business that if you're looking at them independently and monitoring how they're functioning, it gives you the ability to make adjustments and help your business in whatever areas that are weak. So this is having things kind of separated within the business process from A to Z and looking at it from an individual part perspective, just making sure all the joints are working properly, gives you the ability to troubleshoot quickly whenever you need to. And then last but not least, we're going to be doing an open and live QA. So what this means is we're going to give the opportunity for you guys after I've presented this information. Trust me, even after our 3-day class, there's still things that our clients want to know and questions that they have. So what we're going to do is on the QA, we're going to have the opportunity to answer as many questions as possible. And then I have a special offer just for everyone who's going to be part of this webinar to join our masterclass. It is a significant offer, and this is something that we don't usually do. So I'm really excited to share with all of you guys today. So what is 411 Roofing Systems? Honestly, I think that because I've done so many different things in the industry, a lot of times the market's not 100% sure what they can look at business 411 for. That's one of the most important reasons why I decided to share this information with you. All of our attendees always have raving reviews. You can look at our actual Google review page and you'll see over 100+ people have given us 5-star reviews on our class. So I thought it was time to take away this cloud of not being 100% sure what 411 Roofing Systems is and share it with you guys today. So first of all, a lot of times you want to know exactly where this information came from, especially if you're even thinking about implementing this into your company or taking a word that I say serious. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I created this specific manual. Over the first few years in business, one of the ways that I was able to really figure out what my market needed was working one-on-one with different contractors to help them design basic plans, basic service packages, just getting an understanding of where they're at. I've had clients that have used the business plans that I've made and gotten additional funding for their business. They've used it for loan processes because a good business plan in the construction industry can take you so far. So that is not a service I do anymore, but I used to do a ton of one-on-ones. I 1 year spent touring and going to different roofers all over the country and documenting their custom processes. So I didn't guess any of this information. It is not anything new, but what I found by like the 6th month of doing this project is that every company by the like the 50th or 60th, there were so many overlaps in the information. So I still kept going after about 100, 120 of these consultations. What I learned is a lot of the processes in roofing are very similar, and the only adjustments that really need to be made are adjustments based off of the company structure, the actual target market, how the market you're working in is functioning, and a couple of simple core processes, word changing, and sometimes just changing the sales process a little bit more to fit your ideology. Other than that, I created a template, I started testing it, and it was incredible because it actually worked. I sat with companies doing 20 million a year, showed them the outline, sat with them. They were like, no, there's no way. Our process is completely different. What I figured out is it wasn't. There was very minor changes that they made. And finally, last year, we started doing group classes. Again, the same thing. They were like, okay, wow, this is very similar to what we need to do and what we've been trying to build. This year, we launched our actual school. We have a school where we're hosting events throughout the year. Up to 100 people can be here. So that is how we got here today. Currently, we have over 2,000 roofing companies. Whenever I say that, I feel so grateful to each of you, even just that if this is the first time you've ever been on a webinar, like, and those of you who have been in the industry helping me and supporting me for many years, you're the part of the reason why I'm here today. 2,000 companies using our trainings is a dream come true for me. It's just a small percentage of the industry. There's so much more to do. Personally, I've had the privilege to consult for over $750 million in roofing revenue. That means I've sat down with different manufacturers, suppliers, and so on to really figure out processes. I've even helped create some franchises in this industry. We've helped launch brands. One thing I used to do in the beginning is purchase domains and sell company names that I would think of late at night. You know, that's what happens when you're obsessed with the roofing industry. And we've had the privilege to design different company material for hundreds of roofing contractors. So if you have ever used one of our products, comment in the chat. You are part of the reason why we are here today. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize you. You're part of our impact, and we're very grateful for you. I am always humbled by the simple fact that we've had so many people believe in me and in us and our team from very early on when I didn't even have a full proof of concept. So if you are on this webinar and you've purchased anything from us, go ahead, comment. We just want to take a second to acknowledge you and how amazing you are. So these are some of the amazing manuals, some of the homeowner guides, some of the team guides that we've been able to create. We have our newest release, which is the Fighting Lowball Bids. This is a free guide. So if you're on this webinar and you have not received it, if you have not gotten this one, let us know, send us a message. And after this webinar, we're going to be more than happy to get that to you. The manuals, we have a collection of white labeled manuals. We have homeowner education. We believe that the education shouldn't just stop at owner and leadership and sales team. We believe the entire team, from admins to production to your homeowners to your community, should be knowledgeable on you, your company, and the value that you provide. So we just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know what we're doing. Thank you for those of you who are sending us message. Sheldon, I'm very excited to continue to work with you. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, Marcos. Thank you. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. We really appreciate all of you guys. So here's some of our objectives for today. First of all, we want to help you develop and share your company vision. Secondly, is we want to understand how you want to structure your company and how to create repeatable processes and create any action plans for any major pain points. Okay, so I just want to get you guys on the same page on what the expectation is, on what we want to deliver. There is a lot more information that I want to continue to share with you guys. Again, this is information that we dive deep into at our class, but as much as I can possibly share with you in this webinar, I will. This is how it works. We focus on one core process at a time and honesty in the company issues that you have so there can be a true impact. If you don't acknowledge the bottlenecks that you have in your business, you're always going to be stuck at the level of what you're failing to acknowledge. So with whatever you don't know right now in your company, that's your weakness. That's one of the things that's holding you back from that next level that you want to achieve. As a whole, in pretty much almost every company that we've worked with, we see some of these issues pop up, either one or all of them. So first of all, lack of documented processes for the team to follow. And on this page, I recommend just get a blank piece of paper and score yourself 1 to 10, right? Where do you think you're at? So lack of documented process for the team to follow. I would say give yourself a 10 if every position within your company, including admin, production manager, field supervisors, your crews, everybody has processes that they can follow. Give yourself a 0 if nobody has processes to follow. Give yourself a 5 if people kind of have a process to follow. Some people do. And then maybe give yourself a 3 if you have a process, but it's not written down. The second would be lack of accountability due to the employee's roles not being outlined. I see this a lot. There is a huge gap with expectations from ownership to team members. And one of those things is if there's not clarity in what you're expecting, that's what makes it very hard to hold people accountable. This third issue is issues with job consistency and onboarding clients correctly. So this is a lot easier to manage when you have a handful of clients, but once you start growing, this can be a huge issue for many companies out there. It's easy to manage one job a week, but if you grow anything past that and you don't have good processes, you can really feel those growing pains hitting you. Margins not being set or maintained during the sales and production process. So profitability is a huge issue for construction companies and the reason many of them go out of business. I did a calculation for one of my clients, very simple. They were a $20 million a year company, and every job that was just like 19 squares, that was estimated about $2,000 or $3,000 incorrectly, or additional discounts given, or materials not ordered specifically correctly. They were at over $250,000 in loss just for 2 jobs a week, basic, just 19 squares. So seeing that and seeing the issue that it can cause, that is the same money that you might be missing right now to be able to invest into your business. It doesn't matter if you're making $5 million a year, if you're spending 5.5. You're not going to be able to reinvest fully into your business if you do not have the profits to do so. The next is sales and the in-office team not supporting each other. This is a very common one. A lot of the office team complaining about sales. You'll see this once if you already have a team. You might already be experiencing this. Sales just focusing on selling, but not necessarily on what the information the rest of the team needs to really build that job properly. And then maybe not fully taking all of the correct photos, filling out paperwork correctly, just not being the most organized, can cause issues for your in-office team. The next one is fall off in communication with the homeowner as the job progresses. I see this a lot also in my clients who do storm restoration primarily, because the insurance process sometimes can be quite a bit of time and you might have multiple clients go through it. If you don't have a good process to communicate with them, points to check with them, points to call them, even if there are no updates, once it's time for that check to come in, they might now start shopping around because that communication hasn't been very tight. So that's one of the reasons why we recommend having a good communication process with the homeowner on insurance and on retail. And then a lack of training for the team on how to handle more advanced issues and resolve conflicts. If you're the only person in your team who's qualified to handle hard and difficult conversations, then that becomes a training issue, because that's not scalable if the only person who's able to answer the difficult questions is the owner. Alrighty. So some of you shared your objectives during this training. If you have not so far, do me a favor, just drop a comment on, based off of what I've shared with you so far and the agenda today, what is going to be your main objective? I believe self-accountability when you're investing time into something. Again, like I said, your time is extremely valuable. So if you're investing anything more than 10 minutes into anything, you better have an objective and something to hold yourself accountable on what you're going to walk away with. So just what are 3 things you want to make sure you're leaving here with? I'm going to dive into company foundation so we get some comments in. Sheldon says, I'm experiencing communication issues with storm-related customers. I totally understand that. You know what, Sheldon, I know you have a lot of our other manuals. Just remind me to get you the Sell More Roofs one, because I actually designed a process map in that one. It's just it's like 30-page guide, but it does just go over when to communicate with the property owner. So just send me a message on Facebook, Sheldon, and I'll help you out with that. And we do have a poll right now going. Take a second to just answer it. Which of these issues affect you the most? No process documentation, lack of accountability, job consistency, inconsistent margins, lack of office departments and support, poor customer and team communication, and then lack of training. And as you guys see, what the one we see continuing to rise is not having your processes documented. So if you do not have your processes documented, do not feel bad. 1 out of 3 are saying no, over 1 out of 3. We have 42% of people so far have said not having their processes documented is a big issue. So that is a very common issue. And the second, we have lack of training, and then we have job consistency. The next one would be lack of accountability. That really just goes from the top down, truly. It's very interesting to see that so many great companies, because just because you don't have your process documented doesn't mean you're a bad company. It just means you're growing, and that's the next growth point, is documenting your processes, getting things more organized, having a better structure. So it's very common to see that. That's one of the reasons we like to do these polls, just so you understand you're not in this alone. There are other people right now with the same exact struggles as you. Alrighty, so first of all, there are over 100,000 roofing companies in the United States, and those are just companies who are actually registered. There are other companies out there who are not registered, who are not licensed or insured. So I would times this number by 2, but legitimate companies, we have over 100,000. The first thing we're going to start off with is, what is your why? And while this sometimes really sounds a little cheesy for some people, this is actually so important. And your why doesn't have to be something that is not relatable to your actual team members. In fact, you want it to be something that's relatable to your team and to your customers, having a good purpose. And I'll tell you, having a clear why that I wanted to make an impact in the roofing industry and to one day be known globally for construction education, that is what got the buy-in for my people in the beginning. I have pretty much most of the same team members from when I started. That is unheard of in our industry. Our retention rate, most of our team members have been with us for more than 2 years. The ones that we've had to grow and add more people have been here. We have a very, very low turnover. And I believe the reason why is because we have such a big impact that we're trying to accomplish, that there's a strong buy-in from our team. So as an owner, I've seen how firsthand communicating that to our team makes an impact. And also, they work so much harder. They believe in what we're doing. They're trying their best. They're pushing themselves to their limits because they understand it's bigger than just me. It's bigger than just them. What we're doing can change people's lives. And that's the same exact thing for your business. It doesn't matter what kind of roofing company you have. There's an impact in your local market that you are the only one who can make. I believe that every company out there has something that makes them special besides just good quality and good customer service. There is something out there that your team and you are designed to do. And if you do not invest the time, energy, and resources to get in alignment to really build it, it's going to be that much harder. And then a lot of times you just have the owner who gets bogged down by feeling like you're the only one who truly cares, not feeling like you have people that care as much as you do. That's just because you haven't really gotten the buy-in from everyone on your team, because I know that all of my team members care as much as I do, and especially my leadership team. So we're going to talk about 2 very important messages that you need to have crafted. If you've ever heard this part of the class before, we spend a significant amount of time just on going through examples and doing a workshop on this in our class. But I wanted to take a second just to overview it on this segment, because it is the most important thing as a business owner that you can create for your team, is alignment. So first of all, a vision statement is a description of the desired future state of the company. What is that vision that you're trying to accomplish in the long term? Remove numbers and money from this, because it's very difficult to get everybody on the same vision when it's a dollar amount, if they're not going to receive that same amount of return on that dollar amount. Now, if it's an impact, everybody on the team can share in that impact. So it's a desired future state of the company. not including financial, should not be a dollar amount, and it should not be a number amount. There should be no, it's not an actual number. This should be something that you want to accomplish together. So here's an example of what I would see a lot of times, the what versus the vision. A lot of roofers I'll see, they'll put be the biggest roofer in our area, or provide high quality roofs to our community. That's an example of what you do, not necessarily your vision, just so we're clear. And any SOP that you write, you should start off with the vision of the company and any employee role, any welcome packet, any onboarding, because this is the reason why you're in business today. So the example, the what, Disney is a company that operates theme parks, resorts, broadcast networks, and streams TV shows and movies. How they communicate that vision: to be one of the leading producers and providers of entertainment and information in the world. So what is a mission statement? A mission statement is a concise explanation of the organization's reason for existence, purpose, and overall intention. And if you're taking notes, this is a note that I would take. I would actually write down. Mission is the reason for your existence, for your purpose, your overall intention. So this is an example of the mission for Disney. The mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, to inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world premier entertainment company. Now, that mission statement for them, they probably spent millions of dollars crafting it, but that's just to give you an idea of how beautiful. Large organizations spend a lot of money on getting their mission statement clear and concise. For us, is to help business owners build their dream company. So very straightforward, our mission: help business owners build their dream company. That's our goal. We want to help business owners globally. You know, we're starting off here in the United States and starting off with roofing, but the sky's the limit. So these are the reasons why your why is actually important. First of all, is team alignment and focus. Conversations with your team are more effective when you all are in alignment. The second is motivation and engagement, keeping people motivated. It's very hard to always just be motivated by money. And in other positions that you have outside of sales, money is not the greatest incentive sometimes. It's more of a purpose and fulfillment, and making sure that you have that team members buy in fully to help contribute towards what you're trying to build. Next is the consistency when problem solving and decision making. So if your team is always focused on the core values that you provide, your vision and your mission for the business, when there's an issue that arises, they're able to refer back to that as their guidelines for making a decision or solving a problem. The next is effective collaboration across all departments. So the team doesn't see themselves as standalone units. They don't see themselves as just sales, operation, and production. They see themselves as one team on one mission. And this really helps with recruiting and retention. On the early days of me recruiting, before I had the amount to actually be able to pay people decent salaries, and it was having to really get people's buy-in to what I was trying to build, and knowing that the reward would pay off, and it has paid off for many of my team members already. It's to get that buy-in that, hey, we're doing something together, that we need you to be able to help us accomplish this, and retaining those team members because they have skin in the game with you. They've been putting in their 100%. So nobody wants to walk away after they've put in 100. And last but not least is the superior client experience. Your team's always gonna give it their best to make your clients happy when they understand the value. One customer being unhappy is a huge issue for our team members when they all understand that every customer needs to be happy. So it's getting used to the fact that we hold ourselves to a high standard, and when we don't meet that, we're failing, and we need to see what's the point of failure. So failure is not bad as long as you're learning from it and analyzing it and improving it for the next person who comes and does business with you, and making any mistakes right. So how do you communicate your mission to your clients? We'll leave that question up there while I read this poll. So do you have a company mission? No, I have one documented, but it's not. I have one in my head, but it's not documented. Yes, but I haven't communicated it enough to my team. Yes, it's communicated, or I share it with my team often. So we have 58% of you currently have a process in your head that is not documented. Some of you have one, but your team is not regularly communicating it. And 13% of you have it documented and share it with your team often. So very good. Very good to see where you guys are at. Let's get into market research. And I want to share with you, like, market research, this was one of the biggest turning points for me when I really understood creating a business plan and strategy. I really understood how to even the fundamental part one of creating a plan and structure is actually creating research on the area that you're trying to do business in. And this completely changed the way that I approach processes and planning when I started off with research first. So I'm going to share with you guys, and this also changed my approach and our team's approach to marketing and so many other components. It even changed the way that we do business as far as our design agency, our marketing agency, once I understood how important running market research locally is. And this is more than just digital marketing research. This is demographics. Very specific. We deep dive into each market. What are the analytics? So we analyze the market first. So the number one thing that you are able to accomplish when you're running proper market research is your customers' needs and preferences, your competitors and the market size, and then being able to develop strategies based on trends and opportunities. So here are some of the data points that you really need. We run this at our 3-day class. We actually provide this report for all of our attendees, but we're going to go through the total contractors in your service area and what are the home ownership rates. I've seen in, like, for example, the Dallas market. We're going to get into that in a second, and I'll read you a report on what are the statistics. The next is the average age of homeowners. A lot of times you don't know exactly who you're selling to. And one thing that we've seen is a lower home ownership age average. Most people now are in their 30s and 40s. There's very few markets anymore where the leading is, late 40s to late 50s. Most homeowners that you're going to be dealing with now, just it's a new generation, different types of homeowners coming up, is anywhere in the 30s for the most part, sometimes the 40s, but what we're seeing is mid 30s. The next is the median property value, and this gives us an idea of where to price you at. If you don't know what's the median household income and the median property value, it's very hard to you're just going to be playing the guessing game to figure out where you want to price yourselves competitively at. So this data helps you determine what's your average ticket should be by calculating what payments are possible by your actual homeowner demographic. So I don't like to guess when it comes to my business. I want to know the facts. Here's an example of the market research. So here we have DFW in Texas. As many of you know, this is a very crowded market. The company that we just ran this for, in a 50-mile radius, they have 5,413 roofing contractors in a 50-mile radius. 1,900 of them are BBB accredited. However you feel about the BBB, that's totally fine, but a lot of homeowners are still looking you up to see if you're on the BBB, just because homeowners still have this terrible market perception of contractors. So they're looking for a reliable source of information to be able to understand where you're from. Right now, Google and BBB are the leaders when people are reading reviews. And here are some of the homeowner demographics. This is just the cover page of the report that we do, but this is just to give you guys an idea. The home ownership rate is 64.4%. The national average is 64%. even. Was a really good market that I recently did research for. They had a 72% home ownership rate. It was insane. Owner occupied households, there's 2.7 million homeowner occupied households. That means within 50 miles, there's 2.7 million customers that you could be doing business with. The median property value there is 299,000. This is just DFW. This is not within the 50 miles. I apologize. So this is even a smaller radius. This is the median property value. This is the median household income, which is 83,398. And the average age is 35 years old. The reason why having research on the common employers within the area is important is if you want to do kind of offers and collaboration and education for the biggest the biggest companies in your area. On this report, we typically will dive into what are the biggest jobs, who are the biggest employers, not just what industries or what are they doing. So, and this is honestly different from one city to the next. It's very rare that we'll see, there's an overlap sometimes, but retail, healthcare, professional, scientific, and technical, educational, manufacturing, construction, accommodation, and food service. Having this kind of analytics on your customers is so important, because what are the differences now on where I should prioritize my efforts at? Who should I target? Who should I work with? What kind of clients do I want to target from my demographic? And you can run multiple reports and see what would be, for example, how many of the higher income households are there out there. So beginning with research, I've found allows for more accurate and strategic planning. Alrighty, so we're gonna get into company structure. We have a lot to cover. Honestly, like I said, we do this over 3 days, so I'm gonna kind of just continue on with you guys. So a process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. So basically just a series of steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Implementation is the process of putting a decision or plan into effect. This is execution. So implementation is what most people struggle with, not just on the process side, but sometimes you can even go to an event or spend time reading a book and then go into your business and not implement anything. So we want to avoid you guys making those same mistakes, and we want you to be able to implement. What is awesome is even the word implementation has the word process within the definition. And so what is process implementation? This is one that I would recommend. If you have your phone, just take a picture of this slide. It's so important. Process implementation refers to the strategic approach to helping an organization adopt new procedures. Businesses implement new processes for different reasons, including streamlining tasks, promoting efficiency, reducing errors, or driving business growth. So this is a very, very important definition. So let's dive into the actual types of business structures. We're going to put up a poll just in a second so you can tell us what kind of structure you currently have. So first of all, if you're wearing all of the hats in your business today, that means you have what's called a simple structure. That means you're running the show. And I'm going to tell you, if you're running a simple structure, I'm going to pray for you. I only lasted 6 months doing that before I was like, I need to build a team, and I need to build a team now. And right away, within the next few months, I grew to a team of 10, just because I knew that having a small business like that and being more of just like a solo contractor or consultant was not for me. And right away, I started building the next kind of structure, which is called a functional structure. The reason why I've analyzed that a functional structure works best for all of the clients that I've worked with doing less than, $10 to $15 million a year is because a functional structure allows you to maintain a good gross profit within a minimum of 30 to 35%. We have some contractors in certain markets that aim to 45%, but what we've seen just from a national average perspective is 30 to 35% gross profit is the only way that you'll have minimum of 10% net profit to be able to actually reinvest into your business. So growing and then growing from a functional structure to what's called a multi-divisional structure is how we've seen companies be able to get to 15, 20, 25, 30 million without having to decrease their gross profit margin. And the reason why this is so important is we're very used to hearing in the industry, the bigger you are, the less profits you make. That is not necessarily true, especially with some of the companies I've had the privilege of working with. It is reliant upon how you're structuring your overhead and making sure that you have an agile business model. So basically the multi-divisional has territories that are divided out that are operating as functional structures. And we'll get into that as well further on. And last but not least is called a matrix structure. This is where you have some team members that are cross-trained. And this is where more of our team is operating. Our team is cross-trained on different areas just because of the business model. You're not going to see this commonly in the roofing industry unless you're getting to 9 figures plus. Maybe you're dealing more with private equity. The operations side may have a matrix structure, but the field might still have more of a functional structure on the specific markets that they're monitoring. So what do we recommend for where most of our clients are at today? Anyone doing less than 20 million should be implementing a functional structure. And we're gonna actually study that here in a second. I'm going to wait really quick just for you guys to, while I drink some water, answer what is the kind of company structure that you have currently. All righty. Seems like we have a pretty big divide here. So we have a lot of people on the webinar right now that have a simple structure. We have quite a few that have a functional structure. We have only 2 right now that have a multi-divisional, and we have 3 that have a matrix. So very curious for the people who have a matrix, if you want to send a private message, I just want to know what is your revenue size. If you don't feel comfortable mentioning in the comments, just private message me. I'm just curious for my own personal, just because it's very rare that I see small companies being able to operate a matrix structure. Same thing with multi-divisional. If you just want to shoot me a direct message, you don't have to comment in the chat if you don't want to. I'm just curious. Functional structures, I'm 100% sure. Actually, what we'll do is we'll put in a poll in just a second, just to give us an idea of revenue. We'll do one for, 0 to 2 million, then we'll do like 2 to 5, then we'll do 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and then 15 plus. Pedro said 4 to 5. Awesome. We have a functional structure that is not very functional right now. I can relate to that. I've worked with a lot of companies before that want to build a functional structure, but kind of have it kind of pieced together. So we're going to actually talk about that. So first of all, this is just a piece of the chapter that we review in the 3-day class, but I do want to give you guys information on what you need to know. So creating a functional company structure in the roofing industry allows us to keep an efficient and profitable business model. Our company gross profit goals should be maintained between 35 to 45% consistently, dependent on our market and services. Very unfortunately, there are some markets such as Dallas where 35% is sometimes the max. So that is why I always put that nuance of it really just depends on the market and service. But then, like I said, I've seen markets where 45% is the minimum and they're consistently getting that. So each department should have clear leadership and accountability to define who is responsible for the overall performance of a department and key players. So for my friend who has a functional structure that is not too functional, this last bullet point here is something that in order for a functional structure to be fully functional, there needs to be clear leadership and accountability. So that means whoever the leaders are need to have clarity in what their position is and what they're responsible for, who they're responsible for managing, and what direct results need to be produced by that person. And so those are KPIs for each position. So next is the company structure overview. We'll be using a functional structure in this SOP and business model. The hierarchy is clearly defined departments and responsibilities will be directly implemented through our checklist. Each department will be structured with specific objectives, roles, and processes. And last is the leadership. The company must have an overall leader with specific department leaders. So company leadership is very different than department leadership. Okay, and we're just going to be going through two of these points today just because of time. Again, this is stuff that I spend 3 days on, and I'm condensing it and giving you guys as much information as possible in this webinar. So while you guys are answering that poll, we're going to talk about the actual hierarchy structures that we've seen working as of right now. So the first is the CEO. If you have partners, typically you'll see a COO maybe here as well. In our organization, again, we have our leadership structure is I'm the CEO. I have a COO, a CMO, and a VP. So those are the people who are on my leadership team. The COO is really responsible for the operations overview of across departments and troubleshooting our growing pains. Our VP handles team management and accountability. Our CMO runs all of our marketing, and our marketing agency really oversees that. And my job is to live in the future. I'm supposed to be building where I want my team to grow into. So as the CEO, having clarity on the vision and communicating that all to my team is how I get that consistent buy-in. From there, you have your management team, which is your sales manager, your office manager, and your production manager. Now, we're going to study and we're going to see a couple of different business models. Again, this is something that I want you guys to understand. I've seen businesses function properly with different positions. I'm giving you examples, and it's something that you can grow into, you can develop out, you can change the names of the positions. It's just more so giving you an overview of how we've seen hierarchies work. So the first thing that I want you to take a look at in sales, we have what's called a career path for the sales team, which is one of the issues that I was trying to resolve for this company in specific. They were working in a storm area and they were suffering with retention of their sales team. They even had some people who were producing at a high volume that would come and work whenever there was a storm. And then other than that, they would get a nice payday and, just kind of disappear until the next year when there is a storm again. So it's nice to have some great star players out there, but imagine if you're able to keep those people busy throughout the year and keep that momentum going. Your business wouldn't have to go through ups and downs, huge dips and peaks. So what we're looking at is how to retain star players and then how to bring people who might not be a star player and still acknowledge our best players and help them continue to win and help us coach and mold the new people we want to bring into the organization. So In this sales structure, specifically in this example, we have a canvasser, a junior sales rep, a senior sales rep, a team lead, and a sales manager. First of all, the junior sales rep, this position is someone, and each of these are going to have metrics on how you get from being a junior to a senior. It's not something that you're just hired and now you're automatically a senior sales rep, especially if you're growing your sales team. Something that's very important is for your current sales team to feel acknowledged, like their hard work, not just anyone who walks in through the door is going to have that same possibility, opportunity that they may have had to work very hard for. So it's not a huge difference with the junior. Maybe they just have 1 or 2 point lower commission so that the team lead, while they're coaching them and bringing people on and recruiting, they're able to get compensated for that, while you don't have to just have the sale based off of the sales manager's actual ability to manage a huge team. So you can have a huge team where you have multiple team leads who have senior, junior sales reps and canvassers, and then the sales managers oversees each of those team leads. So the team lead gives you the ability to have training for every team member in every market in a scalable way, and they have a percentage allocated towards them for managing their own team. It also incentivizes them to stay on and recruit people and train them throughout the year. Next is going to be your operations. At this level in this specific organization, they were at about 5 million. So they 5 growing to 8 million in that specific year. So they just had an office manager and admin assistant because the production manager was managing production very, very well. A site supervisor or a project manager is fine, or a field runner. And then they had a field tech who was doing repairs and running materials as well. This is model B. This is just a completely different business model. So in this one specifically, this was a larger organization where the CEO was very hands off. So what that meant is the CEO wasn't there sitting down in the company anymore. The general manager was the one who was leading the company, and he had a sales director and a production director that he was working with. And since they had, this is a 2-page one, since they had multiple territories, each territory had territory management, which looks a little bit differently. And we're going to get into the next slide. But this was the overall company's business model. So in this model, they were doing over 25 million a year, almost 30. And what they had was an office manager, an administrative assistant, customer service department, marketing director, and bookkeeper. Then each territory had a production assistant, a site supervisor, and field tech that was still being overseen by the production director. The reason that they didn't have multiple production managers, again, is just to keep the profits at a good and average rate and not having to lower the gross profit. They did not have a big depth on the sales side, but basically here you can start to see where each territory, their goal was to produce 4 to 5 roofs per week, which was $5 million a year per territory at 96,000 revenue per week with an average ticket of 20,000. So each territory manager was responsible for producing that with a team like this. So we don't have much time to keep getting into other examples, but I just wanted to give you a kind of in-between business model and then a larger business model, what it might look like, and just seeing that some of the business models, it is fine to change it, but you do have to have, good structure. So let's dive into customer service. First of all, 68% of consumers say they are willing to pay more for products and services from a brand known to offer good customer service experiences. After more than one bad experience, around 80% of consumers say they would rather do business with a competitor, right? So if that person has just one negative interaction with you, that's usually enough to turn people away from working with you. Next, we're going to just talk about personal touch and tonality. We're not going to get too into it today, but whoever's answering your phone is part of your sales process. So the sales process doesn't begin just when you're doing the inspection. It begins way earlier on from the moment the phone is answered, okay? And we're going to talk about building rapport. In the sales world, building rapport means gaining a person's trust by showing concern for their needs and communicating well, okay? So this is a very simple customer service outline that we use for handling any issues. First of all, this is called the Starbucks latte method. The L stands for listen. Listen to understand the issue that's being presented to you. Acknowledge, show the customer that you understand their grievance by verbally confirming it. The T stands for thank. Thank them for letting you know about the issue. The other T is for taking action. So do what you can to resolve this issue. Take this as an opportunity to turn a customer's bad experience into a positive one, and encourage. End on a high note and build loyalty by encouraging the customer to reach out if there's any questions or concern. So the encourage, this is a key from turning any customer service issues into a happy customers, is to end things on a high note and try to keep things positive. So in the 411 roofing systems class, we cover everything from lead intake to sign contract, and we go through roofing project onboarding procedures. It does include scripts for the customer service position as well as throughout sales. So we're going to get into sales a little bit more here now. First of all, this is an overview of the sales process. We're going to start off with intake, qualifying, assigning the rep, scheduling the appointment, pre-call, inspection, estimate, presenting the options and contract. So with our sales process, we're focusing on the items and the things that need to be executed on. And the reason why this works with any coaching or any other kind of sales training that you use is because we're focusing on what actually needs to be done as an organization. So whatever method of sales training you like to use is totally fine. You just would customize the presentation or the scripts based off of what you want your team to say. But we're going to talk about the sales execution. So first of all, there's two people that are the customers going through the sales process with. The first is the admin. So the admin is actually responsible for scheduling the sales reps with qualified appointments and inputting all of the client details into the CRM, properly inputting appointments into the calendar, and tracking the lead distribution data. The next would be the sales reps objective. We have quite a few, but here we have three of the main ones. The first is to qualify the project specifically. Is this the right project and client for our team to take on? And a big qualification is profitability. Educate, what is the best option for the client and who is the best contractor? And close. The outcome of the sales process should conclude in a sale. I know we have quite a few people asking me if we're going to share this recording. At the moment, we are not. So I suggest sticking through to the end. So the sales stage process overview, first of all, intake is what is the project and is it something that we do within our service area? A big issue that we see with intake is disqualifying a project without enough information. So when we actually deep dive into this during the class, we talk about when to disqualify a project to make sure that you're not disqualifying too soon. For example, we've had clients finding out that their team is disqualifying a project that is a pretty big project just because it's an extra 10 minutes outside of the service area. So when we were talking about qualifying a customer, one of the bigger things that we recommend is whoever's intaking the job be at a computer in a place where they can research just put the address into Google Maps to look at the size of the roof, to look at the job and get, management approval before disqualifying it. Okay. And then qualifying, is it the right kind of project for our team? For example, if you are not doing specialty roofing, is this something you guys are going to be able to quote? If so, are you going to have to send someone out specifically? So a lot of nuances that need to occur when you're trying to scale the sales side. It's the first thing is understanding that the sales process begins when scheduling the job. Scheduling the appointment. Next is what the sales rep does. And here we have quite a few people just either do want to do the pre-call and some people don't want to do the pre-call. To me, it's either way. My job is to talk about process execution. So if this is important to you, you should have it within your process. The pre-call is basically the sales rep calling ahead of time for the appointment, making sure that the homeowner is present, what the issue is, and what it's impacting them. The main reason that I do like the pre-call is it gives you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the client. So the first contact isn't necessarily at the door. And then again, I have some clients who don't want to do the pre-call. Either way, that's up to you. On the inspection, the main question that needs to be answered is what information do we need to gather on this property, the client's need, and how can we package this to feed or develop the sense of urgency? The next is the estimate. What is this project completion going to cost? The presentation. What are we showing the homeowner that is going to set us apart from every other roofer in the area? A key here is price should not be your main differentiator. Okay. When we talk about that in the sales process, the options, what is the best for the homeowners based on their needs? That includes their budget, and then contract. Are all details covered as it pertains to the specific project? And what objections do I need to overcome and to close the deal? So first of all, 60% of customers say no 4 times before saying yes. 48% of salespeople never even make a single follow-up attempt. One thing that if you want to feel some kind of way today in your CRMs, organized enough, look at how many estimates you have pending. Look at the total dollar amount and look at how much potential revenue is being lost right now because of lack of follow-up. Okay. And some of you have just yourselves to hold accountable for that. And it's not your team that you can hold accountable, but you really need to reflect on that. 80% of sales require 5 follow-up calls. However, 44% of salespeople give up after just 1. So our sales approach, again, you can customize this with whatever sales training program and ideologies you have. But what we focus on is fear of loss, providing a great experience, showing the client what the opportunity cost is, and the compare and contrast. So first of all, I love having golden rules for sales because this is a standard that we hold the entire sales team accountable for. A sales process is just that, a process. You can't shortcut and expect to get the full results. Second, a sales process is a path to a logical conclusion for your prospect, not a tactic. So if your sales process is not leading people to do business with you and you're having to resort to tactics and price chopping, it's the fact that you don't have a solid sales process actually in place. The sales presentation is a tool. If you do not properly use that tool, it will not produce the results you're looking for. Selling is less about selling and more about listening to see what your prospect values. I tell this to my sales team all the time. Did you ask the person enough questions to even understand what it is that they want? And even when I listen to my team's members Zoom calls, is something that I always have to reiterate. And this is a big part of training your team is you can't just expect that it's a one and done. You have to be looking at your team's performance individually all of the time just to understand how you can help them. So well-crafted questions are the keys to unlocking what your prospect values. A lot of people assume, okay, do not assume. Not everyone values price more. Some people want the best experience. Myself personally, I'm willing to pay more for a better experience that requires less from me. So be able to identify what kind of client you're working with and be able to make sure that you're fulfilling what their specific needs are. The next one is, now with the internet, people are information rich. Your job is not to provide information, but to provide context to that information. So everybody's familiar with YouTube University. Everybody's dealt with a homeowner who's looked at a DIY roofing video or DIY construction video and has dealt with different people who feel like they know more about roofing from their YouTube University degree than you do as a professional. So what is important is to add context. People have information overload, but it's to help them truly see the difference of what you're providing. So less is more, less talking, more listening. Objections are roadblocks. Remove the roadblocks before you get the objection. And we talk about that, we deep dive when we're talking about objection handling. Your ability to ask for the business is directly proportional to the work you did in order to earn it. Do not be an ask hole. All right. So what that means is don't just ask, and then expect for the client to go ahead and be ready to close. The reason why you have to provide more value is that's the only reason they're going to want to continue to do business with you and get that yes at the end. Next is the sales rep objectives. So this is quite a bit. I know we have been going, so let's do a quick check-in. How's everyone feeling? What do you recommend for automated follow-up? Brian's back. Welcome back, Brian. So for automated follow-up, we actually built that into our CRM based off of the stages. That is something that your team needs to be really using the CRM fully and inputting and updating it fully to be able to actually for the automations to work. Okay. So we're going to talk about more of making sure how to hold your team accountable for using the CRM. On the sales reps KPIs on the class, we talk about how what KPIs the sales rep needs to have for utilizing the CRM as a whole. So CRM is very, very important. Everybody always asks me what CRMs we recommend. So I don't have a specific recommendation for you guys, to be honest. So the sales rep objectives, Kelly says, gives a thumbs up. While I read this slide to you, give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content, or a shout out of what you like so far in the chat. So drop a comment of what you have liked so far. Don't worry, we're not even halfway into the process yet. We have so much to go. I'm going to try to keep my speed up for you guys. So at this point in the process, as the sales rep, you will now take ownership of the client choosing us as their contractor of choice. This is called your closing process. The next objective is to build a lifelong relationship with our clients, to raise the local market perception of contractors by maintaining integrity, service, and value while representing the company in the field. This is a huge one because people are so used to hearing shady or scamming contractors. The reason why this is so important is that we want to make sure that when we're doing business, whether the client ends up choosing or not, we're raising the local perception of contractors. So detailed inspections and reports with accurate and labeled photos that can be reviewed by all the team members to understand the full scope of work. Focusing on asking the potential client the right questions and understanding how to frame the conversation based on their answers. So we're going to talk about removing the roadblocks and objections during the sales process by emphasizing, number one, exploring their goals and objectives. Understand what the client aims to achieve. Ask questions about their desired outcomes. This is going to help you tailor your responses and solutions to their specific needs. One thing is, I don't want to assume what my client wants. I know I've said this already, but I want to continue to reiterate that. To uncover the gaps in knowledge, frame your questions in a way that reveals potential gaps in their understanding or knowledge. This could involve asking, have you ever done a project like this before? If they say yes, what criteria did you use to choose the contractor, and did you have a good experience? If they have not, what criteria are you going to use to choose a contractor so that you can have a good experience? So if you guys want to drop any questions in the comment. So let's continue. Let's see a couple comments in here. If you guys have asked these questions or what other questions you recommend. So if they say yes, what criteria did you use to choose your contractor, and did you have a good experience? The reason why is at this point, if they tell us that they chose the cheapest contractor last time and they had a bad experience or the job did not go well, we can refer to that when we need to later on if they use price objection with us later on. If they have not, we want to be clear on what criteria they're going to use to choose a contractor so that they can have a good experience. There are going to be some clients that just care about price, but again, at this point, you can uncover any hidden objections. Okay. Let me just refresh the presentation here. Oops. 1 second, guys. Who's having a good time? I've been talking forever to you guys, so I appreciate y'all. Awesome. You guys are great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Alrighty. So I love this question because it gives us an insight onto how they view this project. So what are your biggest fears as it relates to this project? Price being equal, what are you looking for in the contractor that you hire? People usually respond, someone who can do a good job or something generic. This is a great opportunity to help them define what a successful project looks like to them. So I would very clearly ask, what do you value? What does a successful project look like to you? Having a clear answer. So by doing so, you can gently highlight the areas where they might require assistance or further information. So we're going to jump into presentation portion of the sales process. We're going to talk about, first of all, roofing is high ticket sales. So is any type of exterior and construction. So we want to talk about how should you rate your current presentation materials. We're going to do a poll in just a second. So Kelly's going to give you guys a couple of different options on how to rate yourself. So does your current presentation look like this? Has your company name, has the services, price, payment terms, your work, or do you have a visual presentation? So a visual presentation, these are the key components of the sales presentation. This is the way that we're outlining the information, the way it's presented. In this manual, we're going to be outlining the approach and major points to hit. But as a sales manager or owner, it's vital that you create materials that follow this process. So here's a couple points. First of all, create a digital and/or physical presentation that follows these guidelines. The visual presentation will keep homeowners engaged in the sales process. And then the presentation will make training reps more effective. They will have a tool that makes sure that they're consistently following each step of the process you are teaching them. One thing that we see very often is a lack of consistency across team members when it comes to the sales process and presentations as a whole. So people are kind of just doing their own thing, and there's no uniform way where, regardless of what team member you work with, we know exactly what the client's going to be able to expect. So a lot of times we are having our sales reps rely on their personalities and likability versus our business strategy and empowering them with tools that are going to help them become more successful. So the reason why visual tools work, first of all, visual tools help you easily communicate complex information about roofing products, services, and processes. According to the 3M Corporation, the brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text, enabling customers to understand and retain information more effectively. 30% of people remember information presented to them more with visuals. So according to a study published in the Journal of Marketing Research, people are 30% more likely to believe and remember information presented with visuals. More educated customers lead to less issues during the production process and a greater customer experience. So here are some of the tools we use for the actual presentation process. This is a huge part where we incorporate the homeowner guides for residential and for insurance. The ability to showcase different roofing options, benefits, warranties, and before and after images through visual aids enhance the overall customer experience. The Customer Experience Impact Report by Harris Interactive and right now found that 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. So here are some of the things you can incorporate: brochures. You can have your actual your digital presentation on your computer, on your iPad. But one thing that we've seen is the increase of tangible print materials will lead to higher conversions just because this is an easier tool that's scalable, duplicatable, and you can actually leave behind with the customer. So if obviously this is just an overview of again, this is our 3-day class and we've condensed it into 2 hours to be able to share this with you guys today. But what we cover in the 411 roofing systems class is truly a deep dive into the sales process. And we talk about mastering your sales presentation and so much more. If you see on the standardized page, even on the presentation, we have multiple steps, from knowing your buyer to the setup and intro, the evidence, the presentation itself. It includes the objectives, the scripts, and the training tips, how to do the trial close, including handling objectives, objections, the proposal, and the closing techniques. So quite a bit of information in this class just on the sales. We're going to do a quick shout out to the Limitless Roofing Group. They are one of the sponsors of this webinar. Don't go anywhere. It's literally just 1 minute and I'm about to dive into production. So do not go anywhere. We are going to continue and literally it's going to take 2 minutes, not anything longer, because I still have quite a bit to go through with y'all. While we are getting our Limitless friends on board, I need you guys to comment any questions that you have so far. I'll take 1 or 2 questions while we wait for Dylan to get on.
Can you hear me okay, Liz?
Hey, yes, I can hear you. How is it going? Are you gonna...
Excellent. Yeah, sorry I was on mute. Thanks for having me as a part of this. Look, I don't want to slow down the momentum, but I just want to thank you guys for including us in this. And the Limitless Roofing Group is a buying group. We've got about 270 companies in our group, and we're bringing the roofing industry up to speed. We're way behind. We're behind HVAC and plumbing and lumber. And so we created a group where we all come together to make each other stronger, to learn from one another, and also create buying power. And Business 411 is our official partner for all things branding, manuals, operations, presentations, and all of that. So for any of you listening to this, she's talked a lot about operations. We've seen a pretty big gap in operations as far as the ability to reduce costs through buying power. So if you guys want to do that, you can join our group and you can join for free. And it's kind of like instead of you rowing your own little boat trying to make headway across the ocean of success, you get in our warship and we all row together. And we've secured some pretty powerful results with that. Like we have a group program with Beacon. We have one with SRS. We have a deal with TAMCO. We have a deal for your general liability insurance. And you stack all these programs and discounts together and it can significantly increase your profit margins at the end of the year. So that's the goal, is make everybody more profitable, and Business 411 is a huge part of that. So thanks again for having me on. If you guys want to learn more, just scan that QR code and you can get started for free today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So we do have some discounts with Limitless. You can actually scan this QR code and we can see how they can actually help you guys save money to increase those margins. So I'm very happy to have you guys here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, Dylan, and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Alrighty, so let's keep this party rolling because we have a lot of information to continue to share with you guys. Mijal Aguilera. So at this time, we're not going to be sharing the recording of this presentation. We're almost done though, so don't worry. We just have a few more minutes left. And then I'm just going to answer one quick question and then dive into the pre-build process. We have a company with 5 employees, 1 owner, 1 office manager, 1 site supervisor, and 2 sales guys. Just curious how to offset some of the work from the office manager onto others, as a lot falls on manager in terms of tracking and accountability. So one thing that's important when you have a sales guy, the site supervisor, the office manager, and yourself, each person should have their own tracking and accountability that they are responsible for, including myself as the owner. I have certain KPIs that I have to report and track. This is just so that I can continue to monitor the progress that's being made in the organization. If there's a specific case that you can give me some more context on, I can give you a little bit more information. But as an overview, each position should have tracking and KPIs and accountability for them. But if you give me a little bit like a more specific case, I can deep dive into that. So jumping into the pre-build process, the whole reason the pre-build process is so important is that, you know, we're really deep diving into how to onboard the job successfully. And really quick, the results is I don't have a presentation. I train my sales people and I think they follow my process 56%, right? So this is a huge issue that we're seeing in the industry today. I have a presentation my team can use, but most of them do their own thing. I have a presentation they follow, but it needs work. And only 4 people out of our community has a presentation that salespeople follow every single time. We had 82 responses to this specific question we asked in this group. So that's pretty insane. But don't worry, if you do not have a presentation, we're here to help you. We're here to make it work. Alrighty, so what is the pre-build process? This is an overview of the full process. We don't have time to dive into each and every one of them right now. Whoops, what just happened there? Sorry, I just disconnected my screen. One moment, please. There we go. So we don't have time to dive into each of these specifically, but this is an overview. You have your handoff meeting. Once the job is approved, material orders, scheduling the project, trades and crews, and then permitting. So the pre-build process objective, what I'm going to cover with you guys as far as in detail today is just a little bit of the handoff meeting, because that's what the sales rep needs to submit. But the objective is ensuring that the project the sales representative sold is understood and viable for the build process and the production team management, including what was and was not sold. The pre-build process workflow, this is guaranteed to create internal transfer success. So here we're talking from sales to the in-office production transfer. Some of the key components that are happening here: the handoff, material orders, scheduling the project, getting it approved, permitting, trades, and crews. So who is part of this process? A huge disconnect that there is in the industry today is with sales and production. We have a ton of misrepresentation that production should only be handled by production manager. However, most of the pre-production, if we do not have all of the items that we need from sales, is really close to impossible. If sales does not do their job properly, the job cannot be produced. So production begins with sales, and that's why we add pre-production with sales and getting our production team on the same page. So first of all, the handoff meeting, this is where we're going to review the measurement report, the proposal, the assessment, and we're going to be using photos, videos, and the inspection checklist with the production staff. All of these details need to be added into the CRM. Detailed and accurate contracts with all project details that were sold turn into the production team in a timely manner. One of the points I'm just going to highlight that we deep dive into in the sales, in the actual 3-day class, is one of the things that we do is if the sales rep does not turn in all photos and contracts and sign all the actual everything needs to be signed in a timely manner, we do give them a deduction and go and get the information within 24 hours ourselves. So we're not going to put the job on hold because the sales rep is not turning in their paperwork. We're going to give them 24 hours. If they do not turn in all of the contracts and paperwork and photos necessary, we will send someone out and we will go ahead and they will have to get it out of their commission because they're not completing their job fully. That's why we have a checklist for sales. The production team, their responsibility is to lead the handoff meeting. They're going to be reviewing the measurement report, the proposal and contract, the assessment using photos, videos, and the inspection checklist with the sales rep. Their main responsibility is to ensure they understand the project and that as a company, we feel comfortable to build it as it is currently sold. We do not want to be that contractor who does a ton of change orders at the end. And then last but not least, we want to prepare this project to move into the build process. These are some of the actual positions that I've seen. You're not going to need a scheduling coordinator until you're at that like 10, 15, closer to 15 million mark. You may just be able to handle production manager and assistant. But once you get big enough, you are going to need someone to handle scheduling. So again, this is a pretty long process for the pre-build, but I'm just going to be covering what the sales rep needs to submit with you guys today, since this is so important. First of all, this is their checklist on what they need to submit to the sales manager. Is the estimate signed and the deposit collected? This is it, whatever specific case scenarios you have, you can put in parentheses here. Ensure that all contact information in the CRM and on the contracts match and are correct. Make sure there are 2 numbers on file for any potential issues that may occur, and as a backup if the property owner is not going to be present during the build. Documenting applicable specifications for the appropriate area, for example, a detached garage versus the primary structure. Are there any custom items that do not follow the standard work template? Are they clearly written out and defined with specifications and photos? Are payment terms clearly defined and outlined? Is the payment time clearly defined? Is the project's expected start time clearly defined? Do they have pets? If so, is there a plan of action for pet care on the build day? All applicable manufacturer, product, and color selections are made. All applicable pictures are taken on the CRM and attached to the file as necessary with annotations. Do all of the contracts necessary have the correct initials and signature? Check the initials for color selection and materials, and what is the shingle type and color or whatever material is being used. And then we have all of the add-ons that are being purchased. A lot of times we have clients where their sales reps don't even really do too many upsells just because of the simple fact that they don't actually even offer it. So having a checklist with upsells is a great way to make sure that all trades are being sold. Does it have a low slope roof on the back, decking repayment specifications, and known scope? So this is the handoff meeting itself. This is going to be the meeting checklist between sales and production. First of all, we're going to review the photos, work scope, and estimate to make sure that they match. All photos must be annotated for crews and production staff. Reviewing any special instructions and job specifications. Compare the measurement report with estimate to check for accuracy prior to ordering materials. One thing that I recommend is the sales rep to take one field measurement just to verify any satellite measurements. So the material orders, something that's very important and that you can do yourself is when you get the measurement report, you just verify, let's say 1 eave. It's very simple for the rep to do, or a ridge or a valley or a hip, whatever part of the roof they choose, and just take 1 field measurement to verify the accuracy on the actual measurements. So if you do this job if you move this job to approval, that means the file is accepted by the production department as an accurate and viable job. viable job, it is crucial to the success of the organization to communicate if a file is not production ready, okay? Like these are things that in this handoff meeting that the production team needs to be fully aware of. And if this job is moved forward, this means that the production department is now responsible. They cannot later go back to sales and say, well, it's sales' fault. No, we have now let the sales rep know everything they're responsible for, given the opportunity for them to correct it and then move this job forward. So in the 3-day class, again, we really want you guys to get here. Some of the things that we're covering is a deep dive into the pre-production process, approving a new job, scheduling the project, organizing the trades and crews, permitting, and much more. Here's 2 pages out of that book. The first is scheduling the project. There you can see I created some scheduling guidelines for you guys to go through, and I divided the pre-build, build, and quality control process. So let's dive into the build process. We have your site meeting, homeowner communication, change orders, the site check, progress check-in, and cleanup. Again, it is quite a few steps in this process, but today we're just going to review what the build process overview is. The production manager is responsible for troubleshooting any major issues. They communicate with the PM as necessary throughout this build process. They guide the team based off of the end of day report, and we talk about that a little bit more on how to create an end of day report. The project manager completes an in-progress check-in throughout the build process, creates end-of-day progress reports on all builds in progress. The crew communicates any material shortages or overages and completes the build process per local building codes and manufacturer guidelines. So the crew has their own training and checklist that they need to do. So the site check and setup, we're going to greet and engage the client to prepare for the build. We're going to complete the full scope of work. We're going to prepare this job site. We're going to triple check any material, make sure that it was accurate. We're going to maintain a clean job site during the build process. We're going to prepare the neighbors for the increase of noise, traffic, etc. during build date. And one reason why I stress this is because this is a great opportunity for you to provide value to the neighbors before just going over there to ask them for their business. So it's just as a courtesy for the neighborhood. It helps you in the long run if you're going to be canvassing and trying to get more jobs in the neighborhood to just provide value to them and let them know what's going to be occurring. In our door hanger pack, we have 3 different ones for the production process. We have a pre-build, we have a build, and then we have a post, okay? We're not asking for the business until the post production. And so we have a nice checklist here for the project manager on what they need to do upon arrival and how they need to communicate with the homeowner, as well as a checklist for the homeowner specifically, communication points. So we deep dive into this as well on the 3-day class. This is some of the things that we go more into. We go into the pre-build meeting, the homeowner communication, change order, site check, progress check-in, cleanup, and much, much more. Last but not least is quality control. So these are the 3 main points here. We go through quality control walk through the punch list and punch out. So one of the key questions, is there anything that needs to be done to make sure the property owner's expectations are met per the scope of work? And was there anything damaged on the property that we need to be aware of? And this is why post-production photos are just important as pre-production photos. It is so important. So quality control checklist, I'm just going to review these ones with you because it is very important. So to make sure everything was installed per HOA and manufacturer guidelines, to ensure everything was installed per specialty detailed work, i.e. dead valleys and specific customers' issues and needs were addressed, to verify the connections in the attic for the HVAC system to make sure all dangerous connections are replaced and repaired properly. Did we acknowledge all dangerous requests, specifications, and regulations were met on this job? The satellites have been installed or additional connections. The job site has been cleaned properly. And are there any stains on the driveway? We have a little homeowner survey for you there. So there's still a lot of information. Guys, I tried to share as much as I could with you during this time. It is a full 3-day class. It is 3 days of content that I review and deep dive into with you guys. if you're someone who is watching this video and you've purchased the SOP previously and you're not sure how to implement it, or you haven't really had the time to really implement it, this is the class for you. We are very, very excited to have you guys here. We have the 3-day event here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Throughout the year, we have at least 3 classes per year. We're already diving into next year's calendar and adding additional dates. We do have additional dates this year left still. So why did we create this? As you guys see, this is just a brief overview of the issues that we see in the industry and the solutions that I want to make sure that we're able to provide you with, but this is just a sneak peek of it. I know we still took 2 hours on the sneak peek, but there's so much more. So if you actually want to learn about this class, I recommend for you guys to actually scan this QR code, and you're going to be meeting with my team. I'm going to jump in here and there and, be part of those meetings and see what's going on. I'm always watching and letting my team know what to say, how to answer your questions. And if they have any specific questions that they feel need to be answered by me, they always come run it by me or management or leadership. So scan this QR code. This is honestly, there's nothing else in the industry like it. There's a lot of amazing people out there with great programs, but I do believe what we're doing is very niche. We are the only white label training program out there that focuses on your actual processes. I'm here to just help you guys implement what your vision is into your mission and focus on your processes and execution. So if you want to team up with us, if you want to work with us, here is our QR code. We're also going to drop the link into the chat. I see a couple questions about additional training and online training programs that we offer. So that same class that I just told you guys that's going to happen in person, it is virtual as well. So you do not have to come in person if you do not have the ability to, but you can attend virtually. I do have a couple of different online training programs. At this time, I used to run an admin training program. We discontinued it at this time until I relaunch it. That's something that's going to be happening soon. I was really focused on building up the school, so I was not doing the admin training class anymore. I know a lot of you really enjoyed that, so we should be launching again our Roof Team University, rebranded and very different. My passion, like you guys know, is more than just sales. My passion is how the business actually functions. And it's why I work with the owners and the admin and support team and production. I feel like sales is extremely important, but I feel building an entire solid business that runs smoothly is more important for long-term scalability and growth. And overall, that's just my passion. I love this. I hope that you guys were able to see how much I love this. If you think this webinar was detailed, just come to our office for 3 days and your mind is going to be blown. So, and you're going to be, honestly, it's an overwhelming amount of information. I have just one thing that I want to share with you guys. We are open right now for Q&A. So if you have any technical questions about your business, that is where I would like for you guys to go ahead and start asking. I am going to be going through them with you guys right now. So go ahead, comment below, and I will answer any of your questions. And the person on the anonymous attendee that made that comment, I just wanted to let you know, if you can add more context, I'm going to be happy to answer your question right now as well. And as a side note, while we're getting that in, I have one thing to actually share with you guys while we're waiting for our questions to get typed in.
Hey Liz, I'm going to go through and read some questions that we have older in the chat. So after you play this video, I'll start reading them.
Hi, I'm Joe Mishler with Neal & Son Roofing.
And I'm Eric Neal with Neal & Son Roofing.
We came down to the SOP training in Florida, And I got to say, it's one of the best investments our company's ever made. We've learned so much. Being able to meet the team here at Business 411 was amazing. It's really people that are trying to do things the right way. They want to help you out with your business, and they prioritize your foundation first. So we're super excited to head back to Pittsburgh, start working on getting our foundation and everything in a row, and take this thing to the moon.
It's truly a game changer. Being down here has been really great for us. It's going to take us to a whole other level. I don't think anybody in the country is going to be able to compete with us. So once we implement what we've got throughout the class and with Business 401, no one's going to be able to touch our company.
What's one key takeaway that you guys are really excited to implement as soon as you get back?
Mainly learning about keeping tasks and roles in certain departments and certain job descriptions. Right now, we're kind of a three-headed monster of who's doing what, but we're all kind of meshing into other people's responsibilities. By learning a little bit more about the most efficient way to structure your company and to distribute your tasks, I feel like there's going to be much more clarity and much more efficiency. And in doing that, you're able to make more money and not lose your mind as much. So I'm looking forward to being able to implement that.
For me, it really just comes down to filling our gaps. Like with the SOP, it just fills up the gaps that you're all wanting to fill within your company in order to take your company to the next level.
When you came here, what were you looking to learn or get out of this most, and did you see your expectations?
Yeah, I'm our money guy. So paying to come to this, I was a little bit nervous to what we were going to get. I would come back and spend 10 times as much to come learn what we learned this week. It's totally worth the investment in your time. I think I was more expecting to just kind of get a better feel for the SOP itself, but they went way more. They went above and beyond that. They brought in keynote speakers. They brought in people with expertise in the industry. So it's not just learning the SOP and learning how to implement it. It's going even further and giving you more knowledge, more things to think about, more things to talk about once you leave.
My expectations for coming here were very high. After doing a lot of research online, I kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into. But after coming here, Liz is awesome. The team is amazing, full of energy, positive people, and they've really exceeded my expectations, which doesn't really happen in life, especially with the current time. You would think that, they look better online than they do in person, but it's been a great experience.
And they threw a great cocktail party.
Yeah.
Very awesome. So we're gonna start getting into the Q&A now. First of all, I know some of you have to head out, so I just want to thank you for your time. I'm very, very excited to get into this Q&A and answer any questions you guys have. So
Hey, Liz, I can go through some of the older questions and I'll read them to you so you can start going through them while I look for more. So we have a question from Jay. He was asking, what technologies do you recommend reviewing to include in your CRM to communicate various stages of the process from sales to installation?
he said, what stages? I'm trying to look for it.
Here, I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool. What technologies do you recommend reviewing to include in your CRM to communicate various stages of the process from sales to installation? So first of all, Company Cam is a huge tool and software out there that we are very, very, it's one of our main ones that we recommend out there. As far as technologies at this time, the tool that we recommend the most for measurements and proposals is going to be RoofR. We're working with them at this point. We do not have any other tech that we're partnered with. So in order to not give you such a biased response, RoofR is one that we recommend taking a look at. And then I'm currently trying to do more research to see what other technology that I actually recommend. As some of you guys know, that was how I got into the industry, and just, I had to wait a little bit before I was able to even partner with other tools. So very excited to get back in there and do some more research on what tools I recommend to you guys. So Mauro, I'm very excited. Thank you so much. We're going to see you at the next class. John said for the 3-day super session, how many of us can we bring? Would like to have at least 2 of us, maybe a third. John, we have 2 seats included. And for the third, just let us know and we can let you know the additional pricing. So I have a couple of questions here on the Q&A. Anand gave me a little bit of context to the first question. I guess just a little bit of help on how to be a better office manager and delegate work as needed. As I'm the only manager for here for all of these positions, and I find that it's all very overwhelming. Haha. Okay, got you. All right. Now I understand the context a little bit better. So if you have a lot that you're managing, the first thing you have to start off with is outlining the process. We do have the manual for purchase if you're not able to make the class that gives you the full process. If that's where you want to start, if you guys are just on a tight budget and you don't have the funds yet, what I would recommend is just to start with a document and start typing out everything that currently needs to happen within the business, and start clarifying those responsibilities for different roles. That's the starting point. If you guys are not able to get started with the SOP at this time, the best thing that you can do is start trying to make an SOP yourself. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but you have to start somewhere. How long do you give sales reps to get up to speed and hit their KPIs before cutting them loose, or if they're underperforming? So on our sales class, the same way we have this class just happened today, we actually have a sales one as well. And during that class, what we talk about is the 90-day training timeline, and how to know if the person that you're hiring is a good fit for the company. So a lot of times we make the mistake of keeping people on that don't fit the company culture, or more importantly, are not performing well. So what we talk about there is what KPIs you should be monitoring and your expectation for the first 90 days. One issue that we do see with the industry is sometimes cutting them loose, but we didn't do our job of giving them the proper tools. So they didn't have any chance to make it to begin with. So that's just something to consider when you have a rep that's not performing or maybe isn't doing well, is have I as the owner, have I as the leader taken the time to develop the tools and empower them on my expectations? Maria, question about the initial proposal, which is recommended in person or email? So first of all, question about the initial process, question or email? So it depends. The way that we presented in the process that we were talking about today is we're recommending to do it in person. The reason why, unless this customer is specifically requesting an email, we still recommend to do an in-person or phone review or even a Zoom meeting. A lot of people use Zoom meetings nowadays. I have one client that uses Zoom to pretty much sell all of his jobs, but you do have to take the time to explain the proposal to them, not just send them the proposal, because at that point, all they're going to be looking at is price. And guys, make sure that you're booking these, even if you're not interested in the class itself. We do have other things that we can offer you, and we have some of our free guides, we have some of our manuals, we have some stuff for homeowners. We have presentation tools. So we've had quite a few of you book, but I know there's a couple of you left that are not sure if you're able to use this link to book for other things. So just making sure that you guys know you can use it to book for anything that you want to know about our business. All right, do we have any more questions at this time? That's when
There's
I'm here.
some older questions. Alexander was asking, how much do we charge for market research pages? Well, what's cool about that is it's actually free when you come to our 3-day super session. We put together that full market research. You saw a snippet of it when we showed the Dallas DFW market research cover page, but we do a really nice built out market research report for everyone coming to that class.
Awesome. Alrighty. So if you don't go to the class at this time, it's not a standalone service that we offer. It's not something that we're just doing. But who knows in the future? Because those research softwares, we do pay quite a bit for them. But, we always want to leverage as many tools as possible. So thank you guys so much for watching. Oh my goodness, that was 2 hours. It just flew by. I really appreciate all of you guys. It was amazing to have you here, and I'm excited to continue to work with you. If there's any single way that I can add value to your business, please let me know. If you had a nice webinar, please do me a huge favor, recommend us in the roofing groups, recommend us on Facebook, on any, even our Google, send us a review. Like, these things help us. One thing that we have to continue to build in the industry is our credibility. Like, we have to really show people and show our contractors that we're here to serve, because in this industry, you never know who to trust. So we really put a lot of heart into what we're doing. If we're helping you in any way, please, if the biggest thing that you can do to give back is shout us out on the roofing groups, let people know that we had such a good webinar that was free for you guys. It's your way to help me out with my business, like the roofing sales and community groups, level the playing field. Those are awesome groups that you can go and comment. And wow, we just had someone sign up for the class. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We're very, very excited to see you guys here. Thank you for deciding to work with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for your time. Bye.